What's been your favorite part as being mayor of Nashville?
You know, I guess there's the part about waking up every day and getting to go into the office to see and be around other people that are awesome doing amazing work. Like, that part's great. And then being out in the community when something has really worked well or landed right. I mean, it's neat to be out and hear how the work we're doing is touching people's lives.
Mm-hmm. What's your least favorite part of being mayor?
I mean, there's a pretty chaotic national political landscape right now, and it's frustrating that one antagonistic member of Congress can cause so many headlines, so much drama, so much stupid stuff that we have to respond to. And so there's sort of the politics of it, just the way that right now it seems like the politics are let's show off for the president. Okay. And that's unfortunate.
What have you learned as mayor?
Yeah. One, that trust is pretty fragile, that there's a level of even in some cases,
like trust on your team, or more of
more like community trust, right? So even for people who have known me personally for a long time, sometimes the institution of the mayor's office or perceptions of how Metro works or things like that overwhelms the personal relationship. And so that's been an interesting dynamic for really the past couple of years. And I think some of it is just people are so willing to go pop off on social media or, dash off an email or go jump on Nextdoor before thinking, oh, wait, there's somebody I could actually reach out to here. Yeah.
If in the last 2 years, you've done a lot of things. You passed the Choose How You Move. You've done stuff in affordable housing. You've done all that stuff. What's been your favorite moment as mayor?
Yeah, I will say election night last year when we saw the results on Choose How You Move, because you feel good, but there's also, in any election, there's just so much noise. We've seen variability in polling over the past several years, and knowing that for a next generation we could invest deeply in transportation and infrastructure is pretty amazing.
So Alex was telling me a little bit about the numbers. You guys, from the sales tax perspective, you've raised over $100 million.
Yeah, we're I think at like $170 million.
$170 million.
Yeah.
So, and then you just announced recently a $105 million plan to, and that's from that sales tax revenue. How did that exceed expectations? Just walk me through that entire process.
Yeah, so from Election Day last year, November 2024, we knew a couple things. We knew that in February, you'd start to see, showing up here, that extra half penny on the receipt for every dollar. And then we would start to see that coming into Metro's accounts by April. So that meant from November to April, we kind of had to spend 6 months planning without really being able to move.
But so was that feeding into, not the general fund, that was feeding into a dedicated transportation fund?
Right. We basically have a finance. It does sort of come in. We're trying to make sure that there is a wall between that funding and everything else, yes. So that it is we show this a little bit in the budget. Even though it is this separate pool of money, we showcased it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. But right, so we weren't seeing any of that until April. So we knew we had 6 months to plan and prepare. We knew we were going to need somebody to kind of organize the entire program once it was up and running. So we posted a job description for a chief program officer, hired Sabrina Sussman in May.
She from Atlanta?
She's from D.C. most recently. I think she had been in New York also. But I think she saw the opportunity to kind of jump into a growing American city and really help get the early stages of this right when we get to kind of make rapid advancements after a generation, a quarter century of barely making any advancements. So then what was neat was our existing team, led by Kendra Abkowitz, who is really in our office working on resiliency. She kind of was a part of that team before we had Sabrina, though, and they set up 11 foundational projects. And that was sort of the first 60 million. And so we knew we could do that in the spring. It was exciting to go to council with that.
Let me pause you right there. I'm gonna grab. Hey, Alex, can you grab 2 napkins, please? Thank you.
So we knew pretty quickly, as we started to see even just those first few months of sales tax figures, that, okay, this is going to work. We are going to be able to do real meaningful work. And so they got straight to work expanding traditional bus service through WeGo. Thank you. Starting to lay fiber for, the new signals that are coming. Thanks. And so then we got to Sabrina's arrival, really working closely with the departments, looking at kind of the year one roadmap, and saying, all right, right as we're hitting that 1 year anniversary with the work that's already done, now we can launch into year 2 with this $100 million program.
So initially with the transit plan, the 15-year turnaround was something that was really hesitant for me. And part of the reason for that, it's like in the private sector, you can get a lot more done quicker than 15 years, depending on permitting and all that stuff. But now with that timeline, with this revenue coming in, is that initial timeline going to be increased? And then the secondary question, is there going to be other technology outside of buses in the future?
Yeah, the answer is so much of it depends on what life is on the ground for the first part. The second part is yes. This is very much a technology-forward program. And your point about public and private sector, when we have all of the things that the private sector usually enjoys, that full access to property, no disruption of public right-of-way and other things, public sector can move pretty quickly too. We've got some major projects underway on the public sector side of things that are moving quickly. The biggest easy showpiece right now is the Titan Stadium, but we'll have some stuff we're watching. We're working with the Fallon Company, their private sector, but we're building out infrastructure on the East Bank that makes all of this stuff go. We have to hit our marks on milestones for delivery too. So I'll say there is no interest in our part in just moving slowly because we're public sector. But a lot of times, we're sitting here right off of
Old Lebanon Pike.
Yeah, Old Lebanon Pike. And if you were going to do something that was going to close Old Lebanon Pike for 6 months, that's a tough thing to do. So very often, if you're looking at public right-of-way stuff, you're looking at how can we keep streets and sidewalks open and available to the public even while we're doing construction. So that tends to take a lot more time. The year one stuff, I feel like we hit most of our milestones. I think the thing we're looking at too is just how can we improve delivery of sidewalks and just some of those things.
So in year one, the Green Hills Transit, what are you calling it, hub?
Yeah.
Transit Center. That opened. You guys broke ground on Dickerson Pike, correct?
For the transit center, so we have a couple things happening on Dickerson. That one's not fully designed yet, but
okay. Because we walked through the renderings and all that.
Yeah.
And then you guys have a bigger announcement, or you made an announcement recently for Donelson Station at Donelson.
So Donelson Station is an RTA project. It's benefiting from some state and federal funds. It will be a big piece of this. We're hoping to do Global Mall site too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
South of Broadway is a big one, Sobro, where it has some land.
Where's that one going?
Right off of Lafayette, I think right at 4th and 5th, roughly.
Oh, so where that old church was?
Yeah, there's some land that the convention center already owns now.
Okay.
So we're looking at a site there that will be a joint.
So that's going to be another transit hub. And then...
and East Bank. So those so we have some that we already know basic location, have some design decisions to make, Sobro is very likely not just to be a transit center. It'll probably might have some convention center uses. might have like any of these. We're looking at, does housing make sense at this as part of it, and so that's going to be a function of it too.
Part of the transit proposal was having housing associated with the different lines throughout. So has that started to happen yet? Are you guys still in the investigation, era of that?
Yeah, we couldn't in the program design a housing element directly under the state law that lets us do it. So the way that we're trying to, we've seen this pretty naturally too, is usually people want to be where transit is anyway. And so we think as these corridors get redeveloped, you're just going to see automatic interest in some residential along those areas. We do have a tool that we are looking at the use of, which is transit-oriented development districts. And so MDHA gets involved in that. So we've got that happening. Meanwhile, some of this work that's happened where we've gotten the unified housing strategy, where Metro Council requested this housing and infrastructure study. I think we kept the planning department involved from day one so that they would know where Choose How You Move might wind up. Make sure it works with Nashville Next, which is our big, general plan for the city, because we want people to be in walking distance of all these, improvements we're going to be making.
So at the Donelson Hermitage Chamber event last week, you said that there's a new program for people that receive SNAP benefits, and I can't remember what else you said during that, but I'm talking about. You have a little bit of egg on your.
Thanks. So it's a program called Journey Pass, and it's designed to offer fare, free transit access to people that are already receiving some type of human services benefit. So if you get heating and energy assistance through Metro Action Commission, if you are, an income restricted MDHA resident, if you are a SNAP recipient, you have low barrier access to this program, and it gives you a 3-year pass. And already in just the quick onboarding process, we've got, I think now almost 5,000, maybe over 5,000 Journey Pass recipients. And it is a huge benefit because it means
They can get to work.
Yeah. And get groceries, whatever, access childcare more easily. That's happening even as WeGo is making adjustments to routes to make it.
So is that funding for that program coming from the sales tax increase?
Choose How You Move specifically funded this initiative.
Okay. And are you're not one of the first in the country to offer that?
There are
there's a couple different models, right?
But we knew if we could plan for a future oriented around transit and infrastructure, we should start to do this more effectively in the city. So this is the first of its kind in Nashville, but there are similar programs around the country.
So a few other questions I have outside of transit-related things. What's the word with the East Bank Boulevard? I know that's been a conflict over the years, but I think that your legacy as mayor can be the transit stuff, or not stuff, the transit plan and Choose How You Move, and then also the base infrastructure of the East Bank. So what's happening with the East Bank, like Boulevard and that whole infrastructure design?
So you've probably seen the East Bank is now way more than just the stadium deal. The Talent Company. We're talking about the final stages of a TPAC deal to get them on the East Bank. The scrapyard sold recently.
Yeah.
Oracle's announced their global headquarters is going to be in River North. So you've got...
And then even north of that, towards World Baptist, or that Baptist Church on the hill.
Yeah.
They're thinking about developing up there, too, called Kingdom Land. And
Yep. And so there's 3 major components of the East Bank, and then as you get right up around the periphery of it all. And so that's a ton of infrastructure stuff we have to do. East Bank Boulevard is a key part of it. For us, it is a key element of Choose How You Move. So Sabrina's been involved in kind of shaping that. Ben York is the CEO of the East Bank Development Authority. They're working closely on it. And I think what you're going to see is the idea of there being this infrastructure spine along the East Bank, it'll change with the overall flow of uses on the East Bank. We know there is a massive special event area in the central waterfront where the Titan Stadium is and where we expect TPAC will be.
So is that going to be, from the initial renderings, if I remember correctly, TPAC was going to be part of that the pedestrian bridge?
It'll be
right there. Yeah. And then, if I remember correctly, the park where the old stadium is going to be there. And because I read all 125 pages of the master plan.
Yep. And imagine,
I nerded out pretty good on that one.
well, and definitely encourage people. So all these things are online. If you go to nashville.gov/,
Oh, I do. We go through your master plan all the time.
and nashville.gov/East Bank, we've got special landing pages for both big projects. And to your point, Imagine East Bank is still the functionally operative vision for the whole East Bank. And so, park space, TPAC, stadium footprint, and Boulevard kind of running through it. We definitely want transit to work there. And actually what's been great is the stadium's under construction.
Which looks awesome, by the way.
It's amazing.
I've been telling the team it looks like a giant Xbox. I'm like, can we just play Halo?
Yeah, they need their screens on the outside for people to play.
So some of the concerns I've heard from landowners of the East Bank. Well, there's the lawsuit that the Metro was just recently in, with that 18 acres of the old Travel America spots.
Yep.
And some of the other concerns I've heard from landowners of the East Bank is the city doing eminent domain to do East Bank Boulevard. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know the legalities and all that things. But can you just talk about that for some of the landowners that are in the East Bank?
Right. And so if you bring it down to single-family home scale, if you're building new sidewalk and it's happening where there is maybe existing public right-of-way, like a street with no curb and gutter, no sidewalk, you're going to typically have to do easements and right-of-way. And so NDOT's been doing this for years, where they will work with private property owners to acquire right-of-way. In this case, we know we're probably going to have more than 100 feet of width of continuous right-of-way.
Because the only access road is underneath that bridge right now. So you're going to have to expand at some point in that area. And that's the landowners I'm talking about.
And so it's not, I mean, in most cases, it's not a scenario where you're just going to go take somebody's land. We have funding in the capital spending plan specifically to do right-of-way acquisition on these banks. So we're trying to make sure that we're leaving most people with developable land, and we still also need the East Bank to function from a cord-going standpoint. So it is complex. I do think you have also seen a lot of major landowners start to get bigger parcels because I think they see the overall development potential. The truck stop site is a big one. RMR, Oracle obviously has a lot. And then you've seen the first sort of new construction. The landing right at River North, and there's people living there now.
We just did a whole project there, and there's coffee shops now, there's restaurants, and beautiful apartments, like very beautiful apartments. Yep. Another thing that I hear pretty often from a lot of local business owners is the delays in planning and city planning. So,
really?
Yeah, I know one business owner, it took him like almost 9 months to get a water permit in East Nashville.
So planning and permitting are two different things.
Oh, okay.
So we have now, this was a thing that was a focus of mine when I took office, because we had seen it impact not just affordable housing, but also the business landscape. We've had a quarterly development services meeting that's resulted in a lot of improvements, and I'd be surprised if we heard that today. If that happened, over a year ago, maybe less surprising, but we made some important...
Yeah, the last time I talked to him was probably about 7-8 months ago.
Okay.
Yep.
We've dramatically improved performance of water. So now, on a quarterly basis, all of our permitting authorities in that development services landscape, or if you're going to be building anything, we come together, we review where the backlog is, and it is now the exception rather than the norm for something to take more than a few days. So we've made big improvements there.
Okay. What advice would you give to small mom and pop operators right now that are concerned about property tax increase? They're concerned. There was a whole piece done with Carrie Bringle and the Arnold's family. And what would you say about the property tax increase for small businesses and everything that's happening?
I mean, some of it depends. I've been listening to Carrie talk about this for a long time.
Long time. Yeah, because you were also his council member for...
He's got property in one of the most valuable parts of the city, right? And so there's a difference between Carrie Bringle, the property owner, in the Gulch versus, Carrie, the barbecue guy. And so...
And then Carrie Bringle in the Nations.
Right. And so in all these cases, I mean, what you can see is the businesses are still open, right? And so, I think that's one of those things where he's got to make whatever decisions make sense for where the market is for the restaurant side of the business. And then also he's got to make decisions as a property owner. And we're hoping that the benefit he's seeing from the increase in foot traffic, increase in residential nearby in both the Nations and the Gulch is making up the difference there. I mean, here's what I would say. Anybody who is seeing a property tax increase of any kind, commercial or residential right now, it means that the underlying property value has increased, right? The assessor's office does this independently, and what we've seen is that...
And if I remind me correctly, they answer to the state.
Sort of, yes. I mean, it is a state constitutional office, but they are run independently at the local level, and then you also have the state Board of Appeals for equalization. So you have a local and a state process. And if they think their properties are being assessed unfairly, then they should appeal. And there is an avenue for that. I mean, as a residential property owner going back to the Great Recession, I know what that's like. I mean, we looked at comps all around our house, and it was just like, you can't do this on an evidentiary basis. And so they're trying to be fair-minded about this.
What are your thoughts on the bar on Broadway that just went listed for $141 million?
So that's a great example of
it can't be like that's where I'm
sure Gary could sell his property for a massive amount, or he could look to redevelop it to offer more revenue off of the property. Right? There's a whole bunch of different avenues, but when you see properties selling at valuations like that, that's telling you that maybe there is a lot of value coming out of that. It's not like any place on Broadway right now. The ones that have been open for years and the ones that are newly emerging, when you go down to Broadway and the Hardly Entertainment District on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, or Sunday midday, right?
Even Tuesday. We were down there last Tuesday, and it was insanely busy.
Right, and so you see all kinds of activity in all those. I mean, they are producing revenue, right? So
hand over fist,
right? And so I mean, that's where I would look at it and say it's obviously different if you're out in a different part of the city. I mean, out here, but Bagel Shop's been open for a long time. I mean, Donelson Plaza has changed dramatically, and it's been awesome to watch new businesses come out here, right? I mean, so we are still seeing a lot of interest. Like, we see new restaurants opening in different parts of the city all the time. We're seeing Michelin stars come into Nashville. We're seeing Beard Award winners. Like, our small business landscape is offering both sort of your old traditional meat and three, and they're staying open and doing fine. And like, I've been to the new Elliston place multiple times over.
That's great. They did Tony does a fantastic job.
Oh, it's amazing. And then we still have places like Silver Sands and Hope Gardens, and that was a tough one during COVID to keep open, and they've dealt with some development pressures. But then we get new places, and like watching Patterson House and Catbird see relocate us to the new location, but that stuff is going well. And then we see all the stuff out in Antioch with Tanger Outlets being open, and our family.
Even the restaurant scene in Antioch. Have you been to Tash Tea? Tash Tea?
I've tried some of their stuff at a different event, but
we just filmed what was it? Emiliano's, the Latin Steakhouse.
No.
That place is great. So there's a lot of like these really cool concepts, and that's part of what we do is highlight these small businesses.
And you've probably been to Taste of Bellevue before. I mean, it's just neat to see.
I'm a food judge for an event tomorrow. So, where do you think Nashville's going?
So, I think we're clearly still a place that people want to visit and want to be. Like, people want to come here to check it out. They want to start or grow businesses here. They want to generally find a place to live, either here or nearby. I think that's going to continue for a while because the East Bank is going to keep, like, that's a project that's underway on multiple fronts, and it's going to be under development for a long time.
I've been saying recently, for years that Nashville is the modern day New York, San Francisco, Chicago, in the sense of the potential of like making generational wealth here.
I think that may be possible, but I also think if we get the elements of housing and transit right, we're going to be this place that is uniquely full of creative and innovative people. Ideally, that is both safe and affordable, so that all of those people can belong. Right? We're gonna hang on to our legacy of being both Music City and the Athens of the South. Like October, November have two really wonderful events where, the Southern Festival of Books happens, and then the Nashville Public Library Foundation kind of highlights an author, and they come in and do a talk. And
then a huge craft fair, one of the largest craft fairs in the South.
Tennessee Craft, and then you get kind of other neat things like Crafty Bastards happening, right? So that sense of how creative and musical and literary and crafty Nashville Fashion Week, I think that's what I love, is that creative and innovative people are going to continue to find great ways to. Our hope is that all of that allows people to thrive, and that our amazing neighborhoods continue to be the fabric of the city. Right.
Speaking of neighborhoods, that was a really big push on the campaign, was investment in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Where are you seeing key investments in neighborhoods outside of downtown?
Yeah.
The entertainment district is what's funding basically everything.
So last year, cut the ribbon on the Donelson Branch Library right here, just up the road. It's amazing. It's won multiple awards, including the Governor's Environmental Stewardship Award. If you've looked at parks, we've been upgrading playgrounds, adding security gates everywhere. We just added a new fire company for Antioch to improve response times.
Speaking of parks, if I can get this, could we get concessions at Centennial Park?
We are working on a few different operational things, because I think at what is now Wasiota Park, that a lot of people knew as Cumberland Park, as we
Ravenwood would be a great concessions.
There are so many opportunities, I think, for parks to be a place that people can not only have totally free access to stuff, but that there may be value adds from the standpoint of concessions. I think that stuff is all very much within the realm of possibility. But we just opened a new Southeast precinct, for police to improve response times out there, relieve some pressure out here in the eastern side of the county. We have opened not just a new James Lawson High School out in Bellevue, a new Goodlettsville Elementary. We've then opened a new Percy Priest, a new Paragon Mills, and actually tomorrow we'll open a new Lakeview.
Okay.
So 4 new elementary schools, 1 new high school. We've got some other stuff.
And most of this is coming from the Capitol.
Yeah, this is all coming directly from Metro allocating this money. And so we've tried to shift the public investment strategy to be exactly that, to be neighborhood-focused investments that improve points of community access and opportunity. Libraries are a big one. We've got a new Hadley Park library coming. We've got some other stuff in the plans.
Can we talk about response times for just a few moments with police officers?
Yep.
So over the last 2 years, I've been in 2 hit and runs.
Okay.
One was on the highway, and I know that's probably Tennessee Highway Patrol that could have fallen out in there. And the other one was on Lebanon Pike near this 7-Eleven near Hondo Lane.
Yeah.
That one I had dash cam footage for both.
Yep.
The response time for the one was 3 hours. This was before you guys did all of the Hub Nashville, reporting accidents.
Yeah.
And then about a year and a half ago, we thought we were having a home break-in at my house in Donelson.
Okay.
And the response time was 27 minutes for a police officer, which they were great. They swept the house. The house was clear. Everything worked out.
Yep.
But now with this new precinct in Antioch,
Yep.
What are you guys thinking from a response time, depending on the crime and all that stuff as well?
So this is one of the hardest things, is response time tends to get broken down into 2 different ways. The first is the call and how quickly the call gets picked up. Mm-hmm. We've made huge improvements at the Department of Emergency Communications where...
Because you guys brought...
Yeah.
You guys brought in 30 more employees for that, right?
So one, we've been staffing up out there, which is important. So we are now achieving national standards for response times, and we've 911 in particular just been sticking that landing, but then 311 we've also been able to separate.
Remind me what 311 is.
So 311 is basically your phone-based access to non-emergency services. So you,
Because I always usually just call the police non-emergency number.
So you can do that, and that's 862-8600. But 311 would basically get you there too. So you could report a tree that had fallen during a storm or possibly ask for non-emergency police or fire assistance. 911 is always there for emergencies. That should be the priority, and we've got response times on that have dramatically improved over just the past few years. In the past year, with all the things that you just mentioned, alternative reporting for non-emergency crimes where you may not need an officer present right there, which I would say in your case, if you're concerned about your property and somebody being there, that's one where you want the response time to pick up. We've improved response times by 10 minutes across the board.
Okay.
When we open the new precinct in Antioch, what that does is it shrinks the precincts surrounding it so that response times improve further. Meanwhile, the police department did what I think is a really smart thing. They created a flex unit for the whole city. Okay. And so somebody, if you're having a home break-in now, should be able to, since just a few months ago, be there not even just based out of a precinct. Like if Donelson were having, let's say, a busy night where there was some event out here and maybe there was...
Christmas parade,
yeah.
Yep.
And there somebody had broken in somewhere and officers are otherwise engaged, flex unit can now come in from wherever they are and be...
So they're just they're basically floating it.
Correct.
Police, okay.
And so we have this whole flex unit that's out there. And so in multiple different ways, and, getting a new precinct open to relieve pressure on other precincts and having that new flex unit, but then also looking at the other places we're adding safety and security. We've expanded school resource officers. We have a transit security division that's part of the program that's funded that way. And then we...
Is that funding coming from the...
funding like that provides a portion of the funding for that.
Okay.
It's operated out of MMPD.
So does each bus now have an officer?
We're not that far yet, but we are going to make sure that at all the community transit centers, MTA has their own security, so that at centers and on buses, you typically are going to see more presence of people just making sure that the entire system is safe. And then we have parks improving security too. They've increased some security presence and parks police, and so we've funded that as well. So we're trying to make sure that overall presence of people there and improving the safety, whether it's safety ambassadors in schools or also in the transit system, all of these things are funded. And so it's good to know predictably from the Choose How You Move standpoint that we can look into the future and know we're going to have safety resources and approaches for the entire build out. And then
it's not coming from a separate fund.
Right. And separately, we've, for the first time in Metro history, funded heavy fleets. That means fire trucks and ambulances, all these things. We've also done
You're doing a new fire department headquarters downtown.
Fire headquarters, temporary location at Global Mall site. But that fully funding the heavy fleet means that all of those specialized vehicles get attention. We're also doing co-response so that if you know somebody's in crisis, not in the middle of a crime, you can get them a mental health clinician and keep the officer who should be at your house coming to your house.
Yep. So back to the transit, you mentioned that it is a technology-focused plan. What are your thoughts on the drones that are coming out of Dubai and like these Uber drones and these robo-taxis and all these things? So do you think that may be a part of the investment in the future?
We've always wanted, and I learned this years ago from everyone from Gabe Klein to watching how Mayor Barry did some elements of her plan. Yeah, you always want to leave open the door to things that are going to be anything from automated vehicles to what you're talking about. I would say the plan is prescriptive about some things we know are going to help individual Nashvillians for years to come, but it's not restrictive on the use of new technology. The signal technology, the vehicle technology, they'll be able to work together, and ideally any future system can also integrate into it. The cool part about having the network traffic is it can also work regionally. It can work with TDOT. So whether you're, coming in on one of the Pikes or, Ellington or, Briley or one of the interstates, from any of the counties surrounding us, when more of these signals are online and connected to our traffic management center, you're going to be able to basically have traffic flow adjusting in real time and being able to, again, let people see more green lights in their journeys.
So speaking of that, you guys are going live with Lebanon Pike as one of the first corridors in the city to have this. It's going to be over 30 lights that are going to be in sync. And so hypothetically, if you're going the speed limit, you should hit every single green light, hypothetically, or in theory.
The goal here is, for all of these, if we know that at rush hour, we've got to have as much throughput there.
Yep.
There shouldn't be a light that just says, okay, I've been green for a minute. I'm going to go red now.
Yep.
Those will all stay green.
Okay.
Now, if there's an intersection that has a lot of cross traffic, so, cars...
Yeah, Lebanon, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Then that one's going to cycle still.
Okay.
But the ideal is for all people coming in that intersection to have maximum green light efficiency.
Okay.
But yes, if
So
you're catching it...
Have you ever been to Ithaca, New York?
I have not.
So Ithaca, New York, because they have Cornell right down the road.
Yeah.
They implemented this type of system 25, 30 years ago. So in Ithaca, New York, on their main strip, if you're going 30 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, that's definitely breaking the law, the 60 and 90, you will hit every single green light. If you're going 35 miles an hour, you're going to hit every single red light because it's based on the speed. So it's a really interesting model. I was driving around town once with an engineer from LA, and she literally did a math formula, and she put it together. She's like, this is how you put entire Charlotte Pike in sync. And she handed it to me, and she's like, give it to the city. And I'm like, I don't know how to give this to the city.
Well, now you do. You still have it?
Maybe. Let me look into my archives of all my documents.
But that's where we want to get to, is we want to have...
Right. But now you have an entire smart, back-end system now, right?
We have that. So we have a state-of-the-art traffic management center. We have LiDAR helping out in some cool places that are looking at pedestrian opportunities for interventions on safety. To your point, we hope this encourages people to drive safely at the speed limit or, not be speeding. And because they know that they're not going to be stuck as much on a red light up the road, right? So ideally, this whole package of things improves safety overall. We're very fortunate right now to be approaching the end of the year with crime down across the board in all categories, with pedestrian safety improving, fewer pedestrian fatalities this year, with opioid deaths declining. I mean, we've gotten into this cadence where we hope year over year we're putting pressure on those things where we want to see reductions, and then we're expanding the things that people want to see.
If you had to give, I know this is really hard with what you do, and you don't want to show favoritism, but if you were to give 3 restaurants or 3 businesses a shout out, what would they be? Last time you were on the podcast, you said Big Al's in Germantown.
I was going to say, I don't know if it's unfair to continue going back to the well on that one. I mentioned Silver Sands for anybody who's not gone there. Just awesome buffet style, kind of meat and 3 over in Hope Gardens. They're amazing to check out. Trying to think of, I mentioned the new Patterson House at Catbird Seat for kind of a fancier new twist. It's like that's...
And the Michelin star.
Yeah, so a little bit of a new Nashville thing. Trying to think where our girls are asking us to go. That far we're going now. If I picked another one, where we are right now, Bagel Shop in Donelson is awesome. It's one of my favorites. There is, let's see. It's hard because I like going out and exploring the city and trying new stuff. We just went to the International Food Crawl at
Tramp.
That's on a Immigrant Rest. That's where I got Tashti for the first time. Just having a sample of their stuff. It's funny. I don't have a place where I'm 100% a regular, except like Big Al's is probably on the list.
Okay.
Oh, there's some cool new stuff out on Buchanan now.
Oh yeah.
So Bagley's Fried Joint is good. I'm sure people know
Teo Fun. Amazing.
Favorites. Yeah. That's like my new.
The new loading docks there. I haven't been yet, but the new loading dock.
Yeah. Slim and Husky is an old classic. Yep. That original location on Buchanan is great. So. Those are some that come to mind.
One question I like to ask, especially on the podcast recently, is where in being mayor in the last 2 years, where's a point where you think you failed?
Oh, let's see. In the early going, I think one of the hardest things was we had some overhang from decisions that got made before I took office, and
Under Cooper's administration,
well, sort of, or state law changes. Okay. So, Community Review Board, Metro Arts Commission, and those weren't decisions necessarily of the mayor's office, but they were decisions that got made before we took office that we knew we were going to have to resolve. It was really, really challenging to both be in there, kind of making the sausage, and then, telling people how the sausage was going to taste at the end of it.
Yeah.
It's really, I think that's still something we grapple with, is when you're in the midst of designing a program like Journey Pass and a crisis is happening in the world, when you're, again, even putting together Choose How You Move as a program, and people have questions, the Bank Boulevard, the decision-making process involves a lot of stakeholders and involves a lot of, back and forth, frequently a lot of negotiation, tough decisions, trade-offs.
And studies, land studies, because if you look at the 2010 flood, that water was 10 feet in the Titan Stadium. And I know part of that East Bank Pan with that park in front is the water collection systems, which is, I think is brilliant. But like you have all that as well.
So I think we haven't always, I feel like, been able to convey in real time. And this is hard because we also are seeing an increased appetite and just knowing at every moment, like, what is it? What is it? What does the East Bank Boulevard look like? What's the final picture? When's it going to be done? Somehow that worked out more effectively with Choose How You Move, but I think there have been some smaller things. And some of it's probably just we had more people talking about it simultaneously. We had really good focus in the mayor's office. We didn't have to be reactive on anything. We got to be very deliberative and focused. But for those things that have been a little more like a community flashpoint where somebody cares deeply or a group of people care deeply, we haven't always brought people along for the ride in a way that they feel like they could understand it from start to finish. And, hey, here are the bumps in the road we're probably going to hit together. And we'll all feel them. Like, it won't be smooth. But when we get there, like, we get to the end of the ride, that's going to be good. So that's a tough part.
I know we're 2 years out, but I assume you're going to re-campaign for another 4 years.
I mean, I look at it this way. The intent is to seek re-election.
Yeah.
I've also got a teenager who has a phone, who sees the world, and I want to make sure the most important conversation I have with the family first.
Yep, of course.
And then just take it all into account. Like, I'm not ready to announce or declare anything, but we're going to be ready.
Yeah. Do you think after mayor there's potential to go state level, or are you done with all of it?
This is kind of that moment where I had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to serve the city that I live in and love. And, I mean, I shared with you, I'm not interested in, I'm not wired for the bigger sort of partisan fray that we've honestly seen get worse. I mean, I like problem solving. I like, building things with other people. I like the acts of service you get to do. Local politics is my favorite because it's the place where
You have the most impact.
Yeah, you have the most impact. Not only can you see and feel the things that you and your team get to work on, the city gets to generally see that. When we make progress, we know it's going to resonate with somebody. Like when we opened this new Donelson library, we knew that multiple different council members had kind of carried the torch on it. It was amazing to finally be able to cut the ribbon on it.
Because that took almost 15 years, right? With the
original
initial
and again, that's a thing where it's like you got to have it land right for the community. You got to get the plans for it. You got to get the funding for it, and sometimes that takes more than a year because you got to make sure you're making investments across the entire city. But when you get them right, when you cut the ribbon, when people get to go experience it, it's a great thing. So that's why I wouldn't say like 100% guarantee that I'm not going to do something else, but this is my passion. This is my focus for it.
Yeah. Well, Mayor, thank you so much for coming on.